We don't need to do too much set.
All right. So I've been thinking about starting one of these for a while. I get into your DMs all the time whenever you post about doing this in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Kind of have a group that I can piggyback off of in a way. I have a buddy who started a group. He's got a lot of people in it, but it's been kind of ragtag. And he's like, I want somebody to help me make this a real thing. And I'm like, oh, this is perfect. I don't really want to start this from the bottom with nobody. Let me learn kind of some best practices. And you were the first person that I thought of. And so I
Yeah.
wanted to learn from you about like how you got it started, what actually gets people to these events, what's worked, what doesn't work, all that stuff.
Yeah, totally. So what we're doing, and I've started calling it dudes and dads. At first it was like Nick and friends do something, right? Nick and friends go-karting. Nick and friends do this. And I kind of wanted to be a little more general and better branded. So we call it dudes and dads. And what we're doing is right now it's once a quarter. I organize an event. And that event that we've gone go-karting, but this isn't like Andretti's. This is like outdoor F1 style track. Go-karts go 50 miles an hour, hairpin turn, chicanes, whole shebang. So super fun, like people love it. So we've gone go-karting, we've gone skeet shooting. So I've never really done it before, wanted to try it. So we went to the North Georgia mountains and um, brought about 15 guys there. And then we've gone indoor golfing. So I got connected with an indoor driving range, like simulator bays that was opening up in the area, and reached out to them like 2 months before they opened. And we got to be their soft launch, which was cool. And we got to meet like the owners and like be the first people through it to work out their kinks. And then we played pickleball. About 20 guys came and played pickleball. And then, yeah, we went go-karting again. So we've done about 5 of these.
Okay.
And so it's once a quarter. I see it as a mix of like networking, but also just like getting out of the house because it's hard to be a dad and like have friends and do stuff. Most of the time we just sit at home. And so I see it as a way to get out of the house. And yeah, so we're at the event, we wear name tags, and we do a round of icebreakers. And have
What do you put
you
on the
read?
name tags? Sorry.
Yeah, their name.
That's
Uh,
it? No
yeah,
company or anything?
yeah, no company, just their name. And have you read? Do you know who Nick Gray is?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so his book is great, The 2 Hour Cocktail Party. And so that's kind of where I borrowed a lot of this from. And he actually like helped me throw my 30th birthday party. Like I'd call him up because I wanted to do stuff like this.
Yeah.
It's like just coaching me through it. Um, so you name tag, and then we do a round of icebreakers. So basically everyone gets there, puts on a name tag, just their name. Before the event kicks off, we all stand in a big circle. I welcome everyone. I kind of give the pitch of why this is valuable. And then we go around and do a round of icebreakers. So it's just like your name, what do you do for work, and your favorite breakfast food. And it's like pretty rapid fire, like 30 seconds max each person. And that way, just people know each other's name and who they are. And that gives them a good sense of like, hey, let me go talk to this person during this event. And some of it's, I'm also like, anyone have kids? Who follows me on Twitter? How did you like, did you come here from Twitter? And
Yeah.
like gives a little, warms up the room a little bit. And then we go do the event. Uh,
I gotcha.
yeah.
How inclusive versus exclusive are you? Are you just inclusive of anybody?
I am, yeah, I'm not inclusive to everybody.
Okay.
Uh, I think part of it is who do I want to hang out with? And some of it's like I want to hang out with someone I'd never have the chance to. So like Joe from Twitter, Joe, Cassandra. I was like, hey, let me use this as a way to meet him and some other folks. So invite them to the event. But also I kind of call it a no scrubs policy. Like, I don't, if you have a cousin who's not doing much with their life, it's like, well, I don't want them to come hang out, right? It's like they're nice and all, but like I want someone who's like doing something cool that I can learn from and kind of level up myself. So I have it's a lot of entrepreneurs in the group just by way of networking, you know, sales directors, product managers, just people in my network who I think are cool, is who I started with. And then I'd say, I'll tell you what I do after every event is send a survey and I say, hey, who else should I invite to this? Um, and it kind of grows naturally through referrals. But what I don't do is I don't have a random sign up link anywhere on the internet. Like you have to get the link from me. And so most of the people who are in it, they actually ask to join as opposed to me asking people to join or them just like signing up.
I
I
gotcha.
think part of that like pre-qualifies people, they're interested, they have a little initiative, uh, and then they kind of get into the distribution.
I gotcha. How many people go to each event on that? Like, would have been the number, the variety of numbers?
Yeah, so we're like a little over a year into this. I have 96 people on my email list. Probably the average event is 20 people. It's starting to grow as more people get on the list. Um, and I'm sure I could have a bigger event, but I used to, when I first started it, I texted like 10 friends and I was like, hey, you want to go karting? And they're like, hell yeah, let's go karting. And I ask people, hey, when are you available? And collect everyone's availability and then try to find the date that works for everyone to maximize attendance. But now the group is so large, I'm not going to coordinate around 100 people. Like, no way, there's no availability. So I just coordinate around my own availability. And I try to plan this out 4 to 6 weeks in advance. I send a notice, an email. Hey, this is what we're doing. Here's the RSVP link. If I do it 4 weeks out, then the next week I remind people to RSVP. I probably do that 2 or 3 times. And then once I have like a good list of folks signed up, then I just talk to that event group for reminders and everything.
How do you charge people? Like, do you charge people? I mean, I assume like for go-karting, it costs money. How do you handle
Yeah, charge people for sure. So I started off just charging cost for everything. So go-karting, 20 people, you get a group rate and it's $120 a person. And then, so is that cost? And I just tell people to Venmo me and just give like my Venmo link in the email. And then, yeah, at the end of the event, I remind people to Venmo me and while we're there. Yeah, everyone's pretty good about it. What I started to do recently, the last event, is I put a kind of a surcharge on it, like a coordination fee. So say go-karting was $120 a person, I charged 135.
it?
So mostly to like be worth my time, but also to see if people would pay the money for it, right? Just to like see if I could make any money off of this. Not that I'm trying to make it,
Right.
$1 billion business, but it takes time, effort, and just wanted to be compensated for that.
I got you. That makes sense. Like the guy that I'm potentially going to do this with, he's been doing this for about a year. He does more like happy hours though, and they're like monthly happy hours. Like, I don't know how much I'm interested in like setting up a bunch of happy hours. I feel like people don't really like that. So I'm more interested in like what I was talking about was more around like quarterly events. He's just
Yeah,
like, okay, tell me what quarterly events like people would want to go to. And that's
yeah,
where I'm like, I don't really know.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'll say for happy hours, it's something I've considered adding, but what I like about the events is there's something to do, and it's mostly like it's
Yeah.
not networking. It's like we're doing a cool activity and you meet cool people. Like you're going skeet shooting, like you're shooting guns and like you're hanging out with your boys and having fun, as opposed to asking people what they do for work with a beer in your hand, which can be good, but that's not something that I want to do every month.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. And so, like, the event, I think, makes it more desirable to go and attend, and you get to do something unique that you probably want to do, but you just don't have a group of friends to go do that every time with. And this gives people that
I like
community
that.
to do it.
It's a good way to look at it. Like, yeah, like what takes a decent sized group, 10 or more, but like you're not like how many people have that many friends that are willing to go on that date to do that thing.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, it'd be cool if like me and my wife could go karting. And she's like, I don't want to go karting.
Yeah,
And like you get like another buddy, and you're like, oh, it's just the two of us. I mean, it'd be fun, but it'd be more fun with the group. And
right,
so
right,
being able to do some of that has been fun. I mean, there's all sorts of things you could do. I've looked at like a movie studio tour in Atlanta to see if I could take a group to that. We did that soft launch for a business that was opening. We'll probably just go back there and have another event. Um, yeah, go karting, skeet shooting. There's a place here for the pickleball that's uh, an indoor warehouse where you play pickleball. And not everyone had played before, so we all got to learn the rules together and played 2v2, and you just kind of hang out and meet folks. And events are typically 2 hours long. Try not to do too much longer, but sometimes you have to drive and get out there. And then you give people the ability to like leave whenever. And
you do 6 to 8.
no, so what I do is this is pretty much always been on a Sunday afternoon,
Oh, wow.
generally like 1 to 3 during the kids' nap time, essentially. And yeah, and so yeah, we'll meet then. Now you lose a little bit of the church crowd, so that's why I'm thinking to add in a like a Tuesday evening happy hour, maybe every so often to get some people out. But and you'll also lose a bit of the football crowd right now in the fall. That's the tough part. And college football kills your Saturdays too, so fall's just bad for events. But in the winter, spring, summer, everyone's generally just sitting at home watching TV.
Right, right. Interesting. I like that concept and idea. Yeah, so the one I went to was so we belong to the same golf club, and he just like rented it out on a Thursday between 12 and 5 and had 10 different groups. He brought 10 members and then three non-members that were like part of his group. So like people got to play at a country club that they
Yeah, that's
otherwise
fun.
wouldn't be able to. And I'm like, that's a pretty cool, like that's enticing to guys, I feel like.
Completely. Yeah, I've thought about that. Like, hey, let's go play golf somewhere, but I need a buddy who can hook me up, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was right. And so now he's like, well, is there somebody else at another local one who can rent out their club and get access to playing here that otherwise wouldn't have done that?
Yeah, yeah. I what I like is doing like some variety of events because what I found is not everyone likes to play golf or doesn't feel like they're good at golf to go justify spending $100 to lose a ball. And
Right.
so if you mix it up, you attract some different people to the events that may not have otherwise gone. Like some people didn't want to go, clay shooting because they're not comfortable around that. It's like, fine, hey, this isn't the event for you, but we'll have another event and that you can come to.
Have you
So
ever had one where like five people showed up or like
no, um, minimum it's been 15, and there's like two reasons why, maybe three. One, because they're fun, and so people want to go to them. Two, I send reminders. So I like really push to get people to RSVP and then remind them regularly that this event is coming up. And then three is really, part of maybe it's a 2B is in the reminders. I specifically say, tell your spouse you have this event. Is this on your family calendar? Right? Like, put this on the family calendar that at this time you will be at this event. And I say that like 10 times before the event. I say
what
it the night before. I was like, does your spouse know you're going to this? Because the biggest reason people flake is they didn't pay for it yet, and so they're like, oh, don't feel like they need to attend. And I also say no refunds. You owe me the money if you RSVP to get people to like really join and not flake. And then two, they flake because there was some other family obligation that they didn't know about or got scheduled over, and that's why they're bailing last minute.
Right. He's doing his next one is bourbon and cigars, like at like a local spot. I'm not a cigar guy at all, so I'm like,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. That's why I haven't done any like drinking events. I mean, I think we'll do a happy hour, but everything's been like activity oriented because that's just what I want to do personally. I want to like do something physical.
are they all dads or no? It's just called that.
No, dudes and dads. So it's all guys. But yeah, there's some dudes in there that are like 25, no
What's
kids.
the average age? What's like the age range?
Uh, yeah, we're probably like 30, is my guess. I do want to collect some like analytics from the group, like some demographics.
Yeah.
What do you do for work? Where do you live? What zip code are you in? So I can better strategically place an event. Uh,
Interesting. Like he has a list of 126 people. He has them name, title, company, industry, like for
yeah,
every. And so there's a bunch of people in private equity. There's a bunch in VC. There's a bunch of lawyers. There's a bunch of government people just being in DC. And so that's interesting. And like, I mean, I'll be honest, like that was part of the reason why I'm like, this is super interesting. These are all people that I want to get to know.
totally. Yeah. And so what we'll do too is like that's why we do the icebreakers. Like, hey, what do you guys do? And I'll have people after event like, hey, can you connect me to this guy? We're chatting. We exchange info? Like
Yeah,
we're in the same
yeah.
industry. And so you get to play connector and kind of
I feel like the most challenging part is well, obviously getting people to go, but like coming up with events that other guys will like. This is guy focused also. I just think it's so much easier to do it gender focused. Um, but like coming up with events, I feel like is the hardest part.
it is. And I've talked to some people that are like, yeah, we don't mind repeating an event. So that's why we went go-karting again. So we might do that once a year and rotate out another event instead of one of the others. So
You've done five so far.
yeah, so four unique ones essentially.
I gotcha.
And I'm
And
always
you're like,
looking for
this is
some
worth it. This is worth it for me to keep doing.
yeah, totally. And I've thought about doing more with it and like putting a paid membership on it, and that way you pay at cost for all the events and you get some additional benefits as part of it. And I've talked to some few folks who want to help out, but I'm just like stretched too thin over here to spend a lot more time on this. So
Yeah.
right now I think it'll kind of stay
It's
stay
just you or you have someone who helps you with it.
yeah, it's just me. And I've talked to some guys from the group who want to help out, and I'm not a very good business partner right now. So yeah, it's just me right now.
I gotcha. No, this is helpful. This gives me some good thoughts and good idea. This guy is like, I need help building this, doing more. He's like, and so I'm like, I was gonna start one from scratch, but I'm like, if you already have 126 people in the emails, then maybe this makes sense for me to just join forces with you.
Yeah. I think it's about, what's the goal with it? Is it purely networking focused? Is it to be more casual and like get more community oriented? To figure out what events make sense and stuff you want to do. But either way, people want someone to coordinate them doing something fun, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This one is he calls it Washington deal makers is like what he calls it, and he has like a certain level of seniority that you have to be inside your organization. Like he doesn't want people right out of college coming to something
Yeah,
like this, which I think is good. Like I wouldn't want to go to a networking event and meet with somebody, right? I mean, that sounds very like vain, or I don't know if vain's the right term, but like it's just you have to be cognizant of your. If you're going to take time away from your kids and your family, it's like it has to be worth it to meet the people.
right. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's okay, right? I can't be friends with everyone, and nor do I want to be. And so it's about I think a lot of it's about who you surround yourself with, and being cognizant of that is, I think, important.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about like other events. I like your idea. Like the go-karting one is a pretty good one. The simulator one, especially like in the winter, is definitely good and interesting. Trying to think of like other events or like I thought of like a comedy club, but that's not really like something you do together. Like I always love that stuff. I always want to do it, but like it's not really something you do like interacting with other people.
Yeah, I think if you could do like a backstage tour of something, could be neat, like a behind the scenes thing. Um, I think it'd be like way cool to go, get a tour of an operations of a business. Like, I'd love to walk a factory with someone and like
Yeah.
walk me through this. How does it all work? All the behind the scenes stuff. I think dudes think that's fascinating,
Right.
right?
Or even, I mean, I think like some speakers are pretty interesting. Like if you got, I don't know, some of that's like relatively overrated, but like some speakers are pretty interesting.
Mhm.
Have you ever done a speaker, like thought about that or not?
I've thought about it, like to put more of like an online component to some of this, but yeah, it's just more effort right now.
Or like an no, like an in-person speaker, like you go to some whatever, some hall or something where you bring a I guess the issue is like what if 20 people come?
Yeah, yeah. Like again, for me, I want a little activity, I want a little competition, I want a little adrenaline with some of these
Yeah,
events. Um, and that's the I think the niche I'm trying to fill.
I
Uh
see.
versus I mean education's important, but it better be like awesome, you know.
It's super interesting.
If I'm gonna leave the house for this, it better
Except
be
you have like not the GM of the Hawks or whatever, but like I don't know, director of player personnel at the Hawks talk about like his process for drafting people. I'm making that up, but like
yeah, and if I can get a tour of the facility with it, yeah, cool.
yeah, yeah.
But if it's an online thing only, yeah, I mean I'll host it, but I'm not gonna go out of my way to go find this and chase it down.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting thought. And so you do Sundays at between 1 and 3.
Yeah.
You do it once a quarter.
Hmm.
That's interesting. Any like advice if you were like, here's what I would start, here's where I would yeah, like if I were you, here's what I'd do. Or like,
Yeah, I mean I would 100% do name tags and icebreakers. Like it's a non-negotiable. You need to make it easy for people to meet each other, and
yeah,
it's a little awkward at first, but now the group expects it. They're like, "Hey, where are the name tags?" Like they expect it, and so they get used to it. And then I think it's about yeah, figuring out what do you want out of this group? Is it purely business networking? Is it to do something fun and meet people in a more casual environment? And so you kind of set the tone with everything that you do there.
yeah. No, I like it. I mean, this is helpful, man. I appreciate it. You've cracked the code on this. It sounds like you know what you're doing here. So thank you for sharing your insights on it.
Yeah, yeah, we're trying. And then yeah, I have like a ConvertKit landing page where people sign up, and then I use a tool just to close it out
Yeah.
called Mixily, Mixily, that does the event scheduling, like collects the RSVPs, and that's how I communicate everything through and like reminders for it all.
What's your ConvertKit? It's like a web page.
Yeah, yeah, it's like a landing page, and then ConvertKit also is the email distribution list. So that's
Oh,
so it's
interesting.
a key intake form basically.
What do you? Oh, but I guess like anyone could theoretically Google it and find it, but like really, how people get it is they hear from
Yeah,
you. You send them the link.
yeah,
Can I see the link?
yeah. I'll
Or
send it to you.
what should I check out?
I'll message it to you.
Uh,
So So it's super simple. Oh, and then the other thing I do too, which I think helps a lot with branding, is I invite a guy to shoot video for it.
So you've
And
wrote that a bunch. Yeah.
yeah. So it's my cousin who comes out and does it. And we've got it down pretty easy. Like he shoots some B-reel throughout. I do an overview and talk about, hey, here's why these events are fun. And then we get testimonials at the event, like, was this fun? Have you been to an event before? Would you recommend it? And that turns into a little sizzle reel for the event, and
That's
everyone loves
awesome.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen those before. That was part of like the idea around doing this.
Yeah, and so that gets some good branding around it,
Have you,
drives interest as well. And yeah.
have you personally gotten any like clients from this or like people referring someone else or not yet?
No, I've not, but I'm not, I mean, frankly, I don't have too many people in it who are in my industry. What's been more fun is like I met a guy who moved to Atlanta from Miami, and he runs a like a small business doing uh, uh handwriting for letters. So he's got like a machine that handwrites letters. And so he met me through Twitter and invited him to this, and now we text. It's like, okay, this is cool. Like you're an entrepreneur, you get to meet, and we
Yeah,
get to see what everyone else is doing and learn from each other that way.
that's awesome. That's very cool. No, this was great. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate it, man. Can I do anything to be helpful for you, my friend?
Just engage, man. I appreciate it. You're a big help.
Got
Watching what you're doing.
You got it. This is awesome. I appreciate your time here.